Good morning and welcome to Money and Mindset with Dr. Stephanie Ardrey, known as Dr. Money, and Dr. Thyonne Gordon, Story Genius. Good morning, TG. How are you this morning?
I am doing great. How are you?
You know, what's up with the storm back thing? Okay, so we've gone through this process finally, although it did take a week for me to get the supplements. I just got them yesterday. So that will probably, begin to kick in. I started to feel a little bit better. And so I guess with anything, as we mature in life, we start to deplete certain natural nutrients. And so there's a point that you should begin to add supplements. Me, I'm a bit slow with the supplements part. So, that part.
Yeah, the supplements can help if you're missing something in your system and all that. What kind of supplements are you trying to get to support your back?
Well, turns out the wonderful doctor was able to share with me something that I knew, but I didn't really know. And that is when we have a lot of stress, we also hold that stress in our body. And so those toxins can find them ways to a place in your body that may be vulnerable if you've had a previous injury or anything like that. And for me, I was hurt in a bad car accident early when I first moved to LA. A lady hit me doing like 50. She didn't see the stop.
Oh, wow.
So she never stopped. And I could see her coming. So I anticipated the entire thing. I was the first car at the red light. So I couldn't go because there was cross traffic. And I'm watching this woman and I'm going, why, when is she going to hit her brakes? Like, that never happened kind of thing. So anyway, but I recovered well. And I did good. And then I re-injured the injury about 15 years ago doing something that I shouldn't have been doing. And because of that re-injury, then on occasion I've had recurring injuries, right? So now, as at this stage, what I found out is that there's just certain natural things that we no longer make. So what the good doctor sent me to get was collagen, some noni juice, some seems like two more. I got two more supplements, something pertaining to bones and joints.
Oh, yeah.
Something else pertaining to energy and inflammation, I guess, by the time we round it all out.
All right. Well, you got enough stuff to get you going. I understand that noni juice is supposed to really be good and help you. So that's fantastic. Well, I hope you feel better. This has been now 2 weeks for you. So 2.5 weeks. So that's
no, only a week today. Thank you.
Okay. I thought it was 2 weeks. No. Mine started the week before, I think, and then yours started the week after me. That's what it was. Yeah. Yes. Well, feel better.
Okay. Yes. So we set up today so that we could have a walk back through Jamaica with good old AJ. And I don't know where Miss AJ is this morning or if she'll join us, but that would be a real fun opportunity to flash back and have a conversation with her.
Well, maybe we'll have AJ tomorrow if she comes tomorrow, and maybe today we can have a flashback to flash forward. Okay. And maybe start talking about some visioning. Yesterday we talked about planning and how important it is to make some commitments and to have a plan for the year. And a good way to plan is to think back on what we've done in the past year and in the past, and then think forward on where we want to go. And so perhaps we can talk a little bit today about visioning and vision boards and how they impact your life and the importance of having something like a vision board. Have you ever vision boarded?
Oh my God, I have some of the best vision boards. It's so funny that you would mention that. And I actually think that I'm mobile enough to do this. So I am going to do just that. I am going to walk you around my house and show you my various boards.
That is fantastic. Board. So put in a simple way, a vision board is actually a visual representation of your goals and what you want to have in life. And typically they're poster size, like Dr. Money has right here.
You can
And
see
they have all sorts of images and text that will represent a goal or different goals that you have. So let's hear about this vision board. And what year was this one?
So this one I actually did last year because it's in my office. And it includes, so Sterling gave me this beautiful card about amazing moms. And I just loved the sentiment in the card. But really, this one is in my office. And so I was wanting to really focus on some of the business related thoughts. I was just beginning to embrace this idea of the cannabis industry and only started learning about it a year ago. So to think that I started learning about it a year ago and put it on my visual board, and now
I'm back a bit, Dr. Money, pull it back a bit so we can see.
Okay, can you see it?
There we go. There we go. Yeah.
So think about this. I just put this on the board last year. And this year we are probably closing on a total of 1,500 or more acres of land where we'll be cultivating, and we have licenses internationally. So that was the other part for me that was really interesting was, and then this was me in Dubai.
Let's see where we, that's okay. That's the, okay. That's actually you in Dubai.
Yeah, that's actually me in Dubai.
Another thing that's important on your vision boards, you want to make your vision board as realistic as possible. And if you can put pictures of yourself up on there, like you see Dr. Money has pictures of herself, it helps because you can see yourself in these places. So that's you in Dubai.
Yes. And then up at the top,
now what will you in Dubai represent? Are you going back? Is that what you want?
Well, no, it was just about international, really embracing international business and beginning to go out and do business development trips.
Okay.
And exploring opportunities globally. And so that was really what evolved, and just always, this one here, dream it, plan it, do it.
Yes, yes, great. And words, powerful words on your vision board really is helpful.
And then new publications that I wanted to cover me. And this is also taking shape as well, is that the coverage is increasing. And then I also realized that in this, I didn't just want to build another huge company. I also wanted to make space for relationships. So yeah, I've got Sterling because he's kind of part of the family business. And then also, the idea of claiming a relationship and, having that be part of the possibility as well. I see AJ in the background, so I'll take a moment and introduce her after showing this. And so, this one, when I look at just this one being from last year and the deals that we're working on this year, it's just get your vision board done. Okay. I mean, literally, wow. Wow.
This is an exciting topic, and we're going to come back to this topic probably tomorrow, because today we're going to go back down memory lane with AJ. So let's see, Dr. Money, you want to introduce AJ?
Yeah, so AJ, which Amanda Jane Thomas, is a brilliant young corporate attorney who I had the pleasure of meeting a few years back. I guess it shoots is more than that now, but she and her partner moved from New York. They were both corporate attorneys in New York, and they wanted to open up a business in California. Mind you, they moved to California, become attorneys in California, and they want to open up a business as well, but they open up two. So the first business that they're opening up is Sonder, which is located in Inglewood. It's a coffee shop, event space, and production center. And in addition to that, they co-found the Los Angeles Black Investors Club, which we'll be able to talk about both. I had the pleasure of meeting them in their initial journey of locating the Sip and Sonder, which of course brings back fond memories of me in Inglewood, and finally a business on Market Street that I feel like I got a chance to participate with. After a long year of envisioning that possibility as well. But anyway, without any further ado, I'm going to introduce AJ because AJ became my she released the genie bottle in Jamaica because she was there for her birthday. I was there working, and I have evidence that I had done my work up until a few days.
That is not true.
Hello, how are you?
Good. I'm doing well. How are you both? Thanks for having me.
We're doing great. Thank you for coming on.
So, do you miss the sand, lady? We could be having our morning sand.
I know, I do, but we'll be back there soon enough.
I know.
Time flies, so.
Are you planning a trip back already?
I am. I'm hoping to go in the new year. I'm planning right now to go in the new year in January. We're in the process of doing some sourcing from Jamaica for coffee, so it'll be an opportunity. Whereas the November trip was really to debrief, disconnect, and take a step back. So this one is like, okay, have some meetings, more work. I know I was like the whole time with Stephanie, like, I'm not talking work. Because I really was trying to like completely, disconnect, which is tough, but I think we did okay. Even though I like.
Okay. You think you did okay. Well, we talked a little bit yesterday about finding balance and planning into the new year. And how that might be something that Dr. Money needs to do a little bit more of in terms of finding balance. But yeah, because she just tips to either extreme. Like, okay.
No middle ground.
Yeah, that's true about me too. That's so funny. I didn't realize it, but that's how I am in life. It's like, it's black, it's white. I don't pray.
So, Amanda Jane, can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing these days? What are you into? What's happening? As you just mentioned, sourcing coffee from Jamaica. Yeah. I'm like, ooh, sipping something. I'm glad I live over here at the Inglewood place.
Yeah. So I'm still an attorney, so I still practice, but I'm no longer at a law firm. So I have my own practice. I'm kind of more, I don't want to say phasing out my law practice, but I think that for so long, it was just working at a law firm and a corporate firm, which was like 24/7, grind. And then at the top of the year, 2020, right before the pandemic, I left my firm. Actually, I'm going to be honest, I lost my job. And that was tough, not knowing that in another month and a half, the pandemic would hit. And so there's that moment of like, what am I going to do now? Like, how do I bounce back? But I think that, really spending this year figuring out how do we pivot? How do we adjust to what we're in, And so it was a time to kind of being pushed out gives you sometimes, you say like what you can't do for yourself, I will do for you kind of thing. And I think I had spoken out loud for so long. By like February, I'm going to be gone from the firm. I'm going to be, on a next chapter, and then not actually having a tangible plan, but speaking and manifesting. And then it happened, not the way I thought, but I think nonetheless, I think that it worked out because, we're able to kind of look at everything that I'm interested in and everything I have going on and kind of reassess what I'm spending my time doing. So your question, Sip and Sonder takes up a lot of my time, and it's the pandemic, so we can't have folks in the space, which is unfortunate, but we've been able to pivot and start roasting our own coffee and shipping our coffee now. So we're roasters and manufacturing coffee, which is something that's exciting, that's come out of this crazy year. So we're doing that and for, thinking about other additional places we're going to be sourcing from and rolling out new lines of coffee. So there's that happening. And I'm still practicing. So that's been also, it's been interesting seeing, at first I was immediately back on the job search for another law firm or another, corporate job, because that's kind of, I think, what I knew and what I know my whole past legal career. But I think that slowly getting clients and in some ways precipitated by how difficult a market it is to find a job right now, where it kind of was like, you got to hustle a little and maybe, jump into the deep end a little uncomfortable and take on your own clients. So I'm doing that more now, which is interesting and exciting to kind of figure out, like, what do I want to be doing with respect to my legal career, and having the agency to do that. So doing that, and with LABIC, with Persephone, we're in the process of rolling out some really great initiatives for 2021, and doing a lot of forward-looking planning. We had our virtual Black business pitch competition this year, which was great, and because it was virtual, we were able to have folks from all over the country, submit and tune in. And in fact, one of our winners is based on the East Coast. And so that's exciting. So really building on that, as well as really, exploring, like, how else can we do the work that we set out to do, which is really the empowerment of, Black communities around their financial, wellness, really. So excited about that. Yeah.
We have a lot going on, and I love that it took, and we have Tiffany Lauderdale on here says, congratulations to you. And there's power in your words, absolutely power in your words. And with that, I wanted to say, I love the idea of the push, because sometimes, we stand on the tippy toe and stand on the edge and kind of teeter-totter on the edge. I'm going to put my toe in a little bit. And then, like you said, you've got to dive into the deep end sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it really is a sink or swim type of thing. But usually you can come back up. You're going to float. I couldn't get Stephanie to float while we were in Jamaica. Because she was so into all the work. She just was not relaxed.
Right.
That's so true, because I still have an issue with laying back and believing that I'll float. It's like, I cannot. My brain, I'm like, I won't float. I'm going to sink if I'm not doing something.
Yeah. And the thing is, once we let go, we do float. And that's what you're doing. You're kind of letting go of all the preconceived notions of what you're supposed to be as an attorney, who you're supposed to be in the space that you're in. I love the pivot, that you can't have people in there. So now you're roasting coffee. Now tell us how to roast coffee, because I'm get into roasting, because this is exciting to me.
Yeah, your subscription model definitely percolating. It's like,
I know. We're working on that. We need to make sure we can handle the capacity, because roasters typically are these huge contraptions that take a coffee bean from a green, basically like a green bean. It's like a green seed. That's the seed in a cherry, to the coffee that we know and see. That's like, the brown roasted coffee. So we were planning on becoming a roaster by the fourth quarter of this year, but COVID happened. We luckily, like, just the universe aligned, and we were able to get our roaster in-house earlier this summer. And we work with a company, they're called Bellwether, and they're an amazing roaster that really is about making coffee and the roasting process and everything around coffee very accessible. So their roaster can fit in our coffee shop, so folks can see it. It's, zero emissions, carbon, so the footprint, it's low energy. So it really is that, how can we, coffee is something that people consume all over the world, right? But the coffee industry is traditionally very, very exclusive. There's not a lot of Black ownership in the coffee industry. Being two Black women, myself and my co-founder in coffee, is like, there's not a lot of us. And it's crazy because coffee predominantly comes from Black and brown countries, right? So it's like, it's coming from across the diaspora, and, is exported out. And then the industry that we have here in the US is so exclusionary in a lot of ways to those same folks that look the same as the farmers that are on the ground farming, right? So it's about that equalization, and that, what does it mean to actually be Black women in coffee and in the space, and kind of claiming back something that's always kind of been for us. It's from the diaspora. So that's been really exciting. So, with roasting coffee, literally we take it from the green seed. We, right now we have 2 coffee being, well, actually 3. So 2 are from Ethiopia. So, and this one is public now. We're actually releasing the second one at the top of the year, a new Ethiopian coffee. One's from Papua New Guinea. We're sourcing from Jamaica and a couple other countries in South America. And for us, it's about really making the connection with the farmers and with the folks on the ground to make sure that, what does that fair trade look like? I think that so often, we put on our jackets in the morning, we get dressed, we live our lives, and we forget that real people produce everything that we consume, eat, wear, fill in the blanks. So for us, having a window into actually what are the conditions that, these folks are working in? What are their lives? All of that is super important to us because they're real people somewhere along the chain that are actually, picking the cherries. And then, so that's something that's exciting to us to kind of, then, embark on. And it's very early where, I'm not it's not like I have a super long background of hosting or anything like that. And I think that that's what makes it exciting because we really are kind of learning as we go, but also being bold and not being, it's tempting to feel insecure about having a seat at the table or being involved in the discussion. Like, are you really qualified? Are you, what's your level of pedigree that gives you the right or the voice to speak on these things? And it's one of those things that it's an ongoing where I have to remind myself, okay, there's some stuff that I don't know. There's some stuff that all of us don't know, but this is for us, and I'm kind of claiming it and not letting that kind of deter me. So it's an ongoing, when you have those moments like we all do of insecurity or where you have to kind of speak up or yourself. I think that it's that ongoing okay, we got to remember this is for us. We're supposed to be here, and it's it's an ongoing thing, but luckily we've been blessed to interface with so many folks in the industry that have welcomed us with open arms. Bellwether and a number of different kind of trade publications in the coffee world, and it's been a really great reception. I think some on the heels of the Buy Black movement that started earlier this summer. So I think the work for us, yeah, right. The work for us now is reminding folks this isn't a fad. It's not a fad to support Black business. It's not a fad to care about what our dollar is doing. That this is a form of it's a form of economic justice. It's the redistribution of wealth. Right. That's what we're talking about. When we're talking about why it's important to support Black business, this is a form of activism, right? The restorative justice in a lot of ways. So I think that keeping that going and not being okay, George Floyd, all that stuff, it's passed back to normal, where it's no, this needs to be a new everyday way of thinking. The same way being politically minded should probably be an everyday, whereas now we're in a day and age where it's politics may not be your thing. It's not mine, but I feel it's my duty to have an opinion and be somewhat engaged, right? And that civic engagement piece, there's no choice now. And I think that it's very much the same around Black business.
It's always a political process. Whenever you own business, you have to understand the stakeholders. And so I think a lot of times where they miss it early in business is they focus on the business itself and its internal stakeholders, instead of understanding that you have to have external stakeholder relationships. I'm going through this conversation with people just simply about their banking relationships. And it's amazing that something as simple as that, people don't understand the importance of. It's an important choice.
Yeah.
Relationships, you need multiple relationships. One is never going to be enough. When you're in business, it's different than being an employee. It might be simple to manage one bank account here, whatever, employee, but now you are the employer and you have different needs. And so you need to open yourself up to these other possibilities that can help to fulfill your needs. And as long as you know, as an entrepreneur, you're never going to know it all. That's the beauty. That mastery is the thing. No, you're going to have certain things that you master. I say, yeah, there's certain things that I've definitely put my 10,000 hours in. So sure, I can see signs and I can come up with possibly recommendations faster than somebody that doesn't have my 10,000 plus hours in a particular area. But in terms of innovation and new ideas, you know, that's what makes business exciting, is that there's not one set formula that if you do this, you're going to get this outcome. Because trust and believe, if there was between my books, I would already be.
Right, we would have cracked the code by now.
You know it. You know I'd be selling the from the island.
Yeah. And it's about knowing, you know, knowing your strengths and knowing, but the importance of your team and human capital, right? Like there's nothing, I love when I don't know something, because there's someone that does, and there's someone that's their forte, and that it's like, that's the person that I want on my team. And then we can be partners, right? Because I do what I do well and really well, and then but you're not no one's, you know, what is it, there's like those sayings like the master of none. I'm not even going to pretend to know all of it, but
and that's by design. None of us are meant to be an island. We are meant to be a people connected with people, and we all have gifts and talents, but so that they can work together.
Exactly.
We don't have nobody has it all on purpose. You know?
On purpose, like literally, because if we were supposed to have it all, then we would. Right. You know, if you kind of have the frame of mind where it's like, if something's for you, it's for you. If this is, you know, where it's like, if I was supposed to know A, B, C, D, E all the way to Z, then I would, but I don't. So that's probably because I'm not supposed to, right? So it's one of those things, right? But that person does, and or she does, or he, you know. So it's really in many ways by acknowledging where you're, and really, you know, zoning in on like, what are my strengths? What are my like passions? What's my deal? That's by doing that, then you're able to actually be like, okay, how does the network and the community around me supplement that? But then how do also I supplement the community? Because there's someone over there that's lacking something that you and only you can provide, right? So it's on both ends.
Yeah. And it's great when you're talking about this integrating and working together. When you speak of that, you also have a partner. Share a little bit about how you found that partnership. We talk about having accountability partners when we're doing the work that we do, because having an accountability partner can make life a little easier, at least to have somebody jumping off of, even if you both are been jumping into the deep end of the pool and you're like, wait, you know, you can at least kind of hold each other up a little bit. So tell us about how to find your partner and what partnership is like.
Mm-hmm. So my partner, we were both practicing at the same law firm. So this was our first law firm after law school. And we were honestly just friends. You know, we're two Black women in a large corporate Wall Street firm, you know, not that many Black people, not that many Black women. And so initially, you know, it was a connection of, you know, you see another Black person on the elevator and there's always or you know, in the lobby, and there's the look of like, okay, who are they? And maybe your eyes meet. And, you know, slowly it was like, okay, we literally just became friends. And I think that one of the things that connected us to each other is it was important to us to try to find space in our corporate law firm for like just like sanity and taking a step back. So Shanita used to hold these meditations and yoga sessions like on this, you know, 6th floor, which is the floor that has like the cafeteria. And we would, you know, that was, I think the first point of connection where I think that it was, you know, we're aligned in I didn't know all the ways, but certainly in one important way, which is just having a certain amount of mindfulness and not having the answers or even the language around talking about it, but there being a desire to, in some way, ground ourselves, whatever that looks like. And I think that was the first like point of entry, if you will, into like, okay, like we're, you know, kind of here with each other, right? And we eventually, you know, I left that law firm. She left shortly after, and we kept in contact. She moved to LA first and was back and forth for work sometimes to New York. So we, you know, whenever she'd be in town, we'd meet up. And our conversations once we both left that firm, even before leaving, but certainly, you know, once we left, even more so, we knew I knew when I started practicing law that wasn't like it. You know, like where it's like, my dream is to be the top of this law firm and then work all my life there and retire. And I'm going to be, you know, I knew that there was that something more, but like so many of us, it's like, what is that? So it was this long period of like, I'm working around the clock. I'm stressed. I'm not sleeping. I don't see my family. This can't be it. But I also don't feel like I have the time to even think through what is it. So I think with Shanita, we allowed ourselves, again, that space to talk about our other passions and talk about our dreams and be very, you know, open and vulnerable in many ways about what those looked like. And through those discussions and just literally like, what do we want to be when we grow up, kind of, you know, for lack of other words, came, you know, learning about our passions and seeing where those were aligned, you know, fast forward, LA Black Investors Club, SIP and Sonder, you know, being born from that, you know, and I think that I feel so grateful to have, you know, my business partner, because it, you know, I think that I feel like I lucked out in a lot of ways, because we allow ourselves the space to we hold each other accountable. Like I look back at it and I'm like, I don't know how we would have, you know, accomplished what we have without, you know, having each other first and foremost. But I think also, you know, we're people. And I think that we, like any relationship, whether it's professional, personal, familial, family, whatever, it's a lot of the same work of, okay, you have to allow someone to be themselves. You have to, there's a lot of balance. There's a lot of, you know, when working together for so long together, we know each other's, you know, where sometimes it's like, okay, particularly stressed, I'm like, okay, you know, let's walk away. Let's revisit this tomorrow. It's okay. You know what I mean? And being, you know, I think having the frame of mind where it's like, we're in this for the long run. Like there's no breaking up of our partnership. There's no anything like that. So if that's the end goal that's important to both of us, then that means, what do we need to do present right now, even if it means those difficult conversations, even if it means maybe some rocky times. It's like, what do we need to do now to make sure that that's that end goal? You know, and I think that vocalizing that to each other has been really important, you know, where it's just like, you know, we've had difficult conversations, you know, like any partnership where it's like, we don't see eye to eye, or, you know, like, you know, but it's like, okay, what's the tone you have to take in a conversation? You know, it's like, you have to come to those conversations in peace. The answer is not having the conversation. The answer is having it, but it's like, what is your tone? What's your message? What's your, you know, what are the things that's important to communicate, but also be clear, we're having this conversation because that's the end goal. That's not changing. So and we're both on the same page about that. And that's been something that we've allowed ourselves to even get to the place of you know, growth within our partnership of, and I think that now kind of having arrived at that place, you know, we're human, right? Like she's an attorney still as well. You know, we both practice and things we're busy and there's a lot happening. And we encourage each other continually, where it's like, especially with 2020, I think to really be like, okay, we have to start to actually take time for ourselves. You know, like our business is like an extension of ourselves and we love it so much and we put everything into it, but our business is not us. Like I still am Amanda Jane. I bleed, I breathe, I, you know, cry, and you are still Shanita, and we're individuals. And I think that that's even why, like the Jamaica trip, it really was, we both were like, November, we're going to try our hardest and it's going to be tough, but really to just spend some time with ourselves, you know, and that's okay. And I think that that's also something that I think it's good to have a partner that, you know, you can encourage each other like that, because it's that accountability you talk about, Dr. Thyonne. You know, I'll forget, she'll forget.
Yeah, I love that you could travel together. You're friends. You know, you made it such that first and foremost, you're friends. And so that is like the end game is no matter what, we're going to be friends. No matter what happens in this business and this life or whatever, this ain't going to end.
Yeah.
So I think setting that as a priority first and foremost, saying, hey, we may not get along, something might happen, whatever, but we're going to have to be friends in the end. So let's just figure out how that works first. And then, and this business thing, we're going to do some kind of business together. Maybe we'll have our own practice one day, probably not. But we're going to do this thing. This is not going to end. So I think that's so important. I was at a conference this past week, a virtual conference, of course. And the person was saying she had a partner in the beginning because she was afraid and she didn't think she could do it alone. So she basically gave her business, which she had already started. She gave half of her business to someone and her business actually grew and they were doing good. But then she realized, this is my business. I want to kind of do it my way. And I do want a team, but I don't need a partner anymore. I don't need a partner in that type of way. And so she was trying to dissolve it, but basically she was going to have to give away her name, everything, like just start all over because they couldn't put together. And they were able to figure it out in the end, and she got to keep her business. But she said it really cost her a lot more being in that partnership because she was afraid. So I think the key to that is I love that you all didn't go into it like, oh, we can't do this alone. We want to do this together.
Yeah.
The difference to have an accountability partner that you want to be with, not that you have to be with.
Yeah.
That is
so true. That's so important.
Entrepreneurs don't even understand why, as investors, we start with the team. Because again, we've been through this so much that you've seen, relationships that form for all kinds of reasons. But when the going gets rough, that some of those reasons are not strong enough to keep those relationships sticky. Unfortunately, they blow up, which was even in my accelerator model, I've noticed kind of tipping points of where this really emerges. And for me, when a partnership makes the first $1 million, inevitably, that is a point where the business falls apart or glue.
Yeah.
It just is. And so, someone was asking me, well, how did you guys, when we were doing K5 Ventures, we had 1,000 companies a year. And how did at the end of the year, we only had 1 or 2 companies that we wanted to make a follow-on investment in? That's after working hands-on with 1,000, which means that there was a larger population to even whittle down to that 1,000 that we had touched. And I was explaining how exhausting this process is of business development. Like, you have to really love this process.
Yeah. It's so true.
Yourself in that, and that's a whole nother thing onto itself. Then you look at the relationships that you have to create along the way. And again, you say, why did you make these partnerships? I'm unpacking a deal right now where I'm going, this person is not there with that person. Show me some proof. Where's a cap table? Let me see a balance sheet. You guys are playing games. This is not real. And you talking to the wrong one. Like, I see through it.
Well, thank you so much for coming on with us. And Dr. Money, you are right on point in terms of making sure you have that right person and not to get into this for just any old reason for accountability partners and partnerships. We are a little past our time, but we're so happy that you came on with us today. And
today is my party coach. So I still am in training. I master AJ's coaching. So I have some follow-up sessions still.
We have to, right. We'll do a wrap up before the end of the year.
This isn't sounding right. This is
She comes to me, you said it yesterday, Thyonne. You knew, TG, that I need to
said balance. I said balance. I didn't say go tip over to the other edge again.
No, well, you gotta go where you have to go and work your way back to. How will I ever get to balance if I go to the other side?
Help me, AJ. Help me.
Coach. She's a qualified coach.
No.
Well, we're going to do some wrap up sessions for 2020. Reflect on, both sides and try to figure out what that middle ground is going to be.
And don't drop the bottle. Don't drop the genie bottle. You just broke the bottle open.
I still to this I stand by. I was like, Stephanie, did you do your homework yet? Did you do your homework? I was like, I'm gonna go and explore myself. I'll see you in 8 hours. I'll come back and be like, so how much you get done? Well,
I'm sorry, AJ. I'm sorry, but Marvin sent me pictures. You guys were hanging out together. I don't.
Oh no! I would go while she was filming you. I'd sit, mind my business. We go to dinner, but the chunk of the days was supposed to be for homework.
I don't know. Balloons, champagne,
brunch once, maybe twice. Stephanie, offline. We'll.
We had a brilliant morning walk that just set the day on fire.
Well, all right. Well, tell us what's happening tomorrow, Dr. Money, so that we can close this out.
Exactly. Well, tomorrow we'll pick up on those vision boards again. So I'll walk through the house and show some more. You should show us some of yours if you have them posted.
Yeah, I have some.
You do that because I got really excited actually by looking at the one from last year and going, OMG, like really? Are we already a year later in that? And so, I want to kind of walk down memory lane, which I usually do. I walk back and look at all the boards that I have before creating the next board, because I determine what is it that's missing that I'm ready to manifest more of in this year coming.
So we'll talk some more about vision boards tomorrow. Yeah. We will move on through the rest of the week. And OJ, I'm going to be in touch with you about this roaster thing. So to catch up, I can catch up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to tell you, my biggest regret about Jamaica was Jamaicans, they weren't serving their own coffee. The Blue Mountain
Coffee. The whole thing. Yeah, it's a whole thing. It's crazy. Most of it is exported. And even, a lot of the same things that we see that afflict Black communities here, it's like fun. It's interesting when you see it across the diaspora. It's like, that's a thing, even in countries that are Black, predominantly, right? Where it's like, it's all exported in. And
I'm like, you guys
it's crazy.
I'm like, you have Blue Mountain coffee and you're drinking Nescafe?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Everywhere. Yeah, it's pretty wild. So we
hope to fix that.
Yeah.
We're going back.
Thanks. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.
Thank you, ladies. Bye.
Thank you.